Hi Tubies, here's Alexandra again, and welcome to the next painted tutorial. So, the new starter set has been revealed mysteriously. It is called Stormclaw, and, well, it contains now orcs and space wolves. So, and what a perfect opportunity for me to make another space wolf tutorial. Ta-da! So, here we have the miniature. We are going to paint it now. As you can see, it is already primed in gray. You can see that on the base. So don't ask me again, why do you paint on unprimed miniatures? No, they are primed. They are just primed in gray. So, first thing we are going to do is give it a wash with Nuln Oil Shade. Give it a good shake first to lose the pigments from the bottom. Then take a big brush and give it a good coat of the wash to hit all the recesses and what have you. So, don't be shy with the wash. We want it sloppy on there. So for the miniature, I wasn't able right now to complete a whole Space Wolf with all Space Wolf parts. Yes, this is a normal tactical Space Marine, just with a Space Wolf head, but, well, it's nevertheless a Space Marine, and that what freaks the most people out in painting Space Marines is the armor itself, and from that we have enough on this. Okay, like usual, I will finish the job and let that dry. I'll be right back. Okie dokie tubies. The wash is dry, and you see a nice gray color scheme now, and all the recesses are nice and dark, and we start to apply now our first color code. We use Citadel base color, the Fang. Give it a good shake. Like usual, put it on the palette. And then we start to apply the color. Like usual, leave the recesses in the dark gray tone, so we have nice shadows. Oh, there's a hair coming in the way, and you see here the color has broken a little bit. That's an indication that the color itself is too thick, and we will add a little bit of water, and there we go. Much smoother in the apply now. So I think you get the point what to do. Always leave the recesses behind and apply the first coat. Just like that. So, I'll be back when the whole miniature is painted in this color. So, there we go. That is the stage now. And the next stage will be a 50-50 mix out of Rose Grey and the Fang. So, from that, one from that, mix it good together, and as usual, a drop of water. brush properly. And then we will start to highlight our miniature. So you see on the brush is now a little bit too much paint, so just take a paper towel and remove the excess paint until there is the amount you need on your brush, and then we will start to highlight the miniature. So for example here at the knee pads, I'll paint in a slightly roundish pattern there, leave the lower part in the dark. And start to highlight. So for the legs here I will go more like that way, towards the middle. Like that. Then here a line, there a line. And always keep a little bit of the old color behind, so we get a nice color transition. It's quite easy. So also for the hand here, I will go like that, and you see there in the corner I'll leave the old color behind. So for the legs here I will go towards the edge, the lower edge to be exact, and leave the upper edge dark. Just like that. And yes, you hear cars in the background. That's because I have my window open. So sorry for that. So, and that way I will highlight the whole miniature. Also here at the helmet, for example, I'll paint here and there and leave a little bit of the old color behind. Just like that. So, I will finish this step and be right back. Okay, tubies. For you, the last section between this two video parts might have been 2 seconds, but for me, it is actually over 2 weeks. So, I find myself now in a very strange situation. I don't know what the color mixture was that I last used. So, we have to now do some detective work. So for that I simply took an old base here and I painted the edge in the fang. This is the ground color, the prime color I used to paint this model. And also I know that I have highlighted this with Rust Gray. So, but I don't know the mixing ratio. And in order to find that out and don't make any mistakes on the miniature, I will now use this base here and paint some areas and test out several different mixing variants. So, for example, the first thing I'm going to do, I use a 1-to-1 mixture. So here, one part of the fang, and then roughly the same amount on this rose gray. So, and I will paint that now here on the base. Oh, there you have seen the rare occasion where a drop of water have run down on the brush and flooded it. Now you see this is a very liquid color and not that what I wanted, so I will remove that really quickly. So grab another one bit of this color and then I try again. Okay, much better. So you see that is now the painted color, and now I will use a different mixture and add a little bit more of the rust gray to the mixture and paint that on this part. And then on the end I will paint pure rust gray. Just like that. So now I have here the fang, here the first 50-50 mixture, here's a 2-to-1 mix, and here's then rust gray pure. I will let that dry, because wet colors have always different properties than the dry ones, and well, then we will compare that to the last highlight on the miniature. Be right back. Okie dokie, the color is now dry, and now we will compare that. We take here this leg joint and we will compare it. Here you can see the shadow color is actually here the rose gray, and when we go slightly along we see that this color is exactly the color we have here on the panel. This here is slightly brighter, and this here is obviously too bright. So, and with that method you can well, check your miniatures when you have well, let them lay around for quite a while and you want to continue painting. Instead of just repriming them or making a mess, you now have the mixture variant. So in order to continue painting, I know the last one was a 1-to-1 mixture, and that way we know, okay, we can continue there with a brighter variant of the mix. And so we will mix that now up. So I have here still my the fang on the palette, and I will just add a bigger amount of the rust gray to that. There we go. Of course, normally some water, and I've used here an old brush for that mixing procedure. I will now continue with a good brush of mine, and so like usual I will put on some paint on your brush, on my brush, not on yours. Wipe out a little bit of the excess paint on a paper towel, and then I will continue to highlight this just like before. And we see, yep, this color fits as a highlight color now, and we can simply continue the work. And now I'm a little bit late. We have already 2 major releases for the Space Wolve, the new box set with a new mini rule book, and of course now the Space Wolves has flyers, and for me now in 2 days the Space Wolves will get their next codex. I don't know when it will be that this video is finished and uploaded, but I hope in the next few hours when I'm not distracted. So I'm concentrating now on highlight spots on the miniature with this color. I hope I'm still in frame. Yes, that looks good. Okay. always remember that wet color is always brighter than the version of the color when it is dry, so don't be alarmed when your highlight color looks on the first glimpse too bright. You see, it is dried now, and it is already dulled down and faded into the other colors. Of course, the way I'm painting here right now is well, rather a tabletop version. If you want to have a really smooth transition, then you should definitely watch my old video about how to paint every miniature, or recently Judge Gudge has made a new video about painting blue, and there he explains in very detailed form how to paint very smooth transitions with your paintbrush. Not only with an airbrush this kind of stuff is possible. Well, nowadays almost everybody of the Wargamer community makes painting tutorial videos with airbrushes, and I found it rather refreshing when I see from time to time somebody painting actually with a brush, because let's face it, most of my subscribers don't use airbrushes, simply because they don't have the money to buy an airbrush and a compressor and all the airbrush colors for that. That is rather a big investment. Yes, of course, an airbrush is a very nice handy tool, but don't fall into the illusion that when you have an airbrush with two spits of the brush, you have a golden demon entry ready miniature. No. An airbrush is just a tool, just like the brush itself, and you need to learn how to use it properly, and also you can't use the airbrush for everything. So I rather prefer making my tutorials with my brush. Because that is what most people have. Of course, if you watch Awesome Paint Job with his airbrush skills when he makes his tutorials, recently he released 3 new tutorials. If you haven't watched them already, go and watch them. They are awesome. It's in the name, Awesome Paint Job. So, I guess we are done with this step. Now we go one step further with Fenrisian Grey. Add that to the mix. Also a little bit of water for a smooth transition. And then I will concentrate mainly on the farthest edges to make a final highlight. Dum dee dum dee dum dum dee dum dee dum dum. I hope you're not getting bored when I'm not talking very much while I'm concentrating on painting. Also, you see I make here rough edges with my brush, so that way it much better blurs into the miniature instead of having very hard edges and hard color transitions. So also keep in mind you will have to paint rather many of them, so 20, 30, 40 of those, and you don't want to make every single miniature into a golden demon masterpiece. That would be rather time consuming. You do want the miniatures to have them on the board, don't you? So concentrate more on your character models. And then they are then the focus of the eye. So I guess the main armor parts are done now. This looks nice. Okay, there I've forgotten a little bit. Also, you can always go back if you have missed some spots here and there, but overall that should be okay. Just remember, miniatures are supposed to be looked at well 2 feet away when they're on the gaming board, and not so close. I know you can see brush strokes and flaws in the miniature, but normally you don't look at the miniature that close, only if it is a contest miniature. So I'll pause right here and be back in a second. Okay, now comes a rather boring part. We will paint all the silver parts in silver. I use Iron Breaker for that. Just like usual, something on the palette, and then start to apply the paint on all the metal areas. This goes rather quick. And, well, I will skip forward. Be right back. Okie dokie, all the metal parts are done, as you can see. Alright. And now we will we will paint some yellow parts. And for that we have to undercoat it with a base paint, Untitled Sunset. I would personally prefer the Yundan Dark Sun foundation paint, but unfortunately that is out of print, and so I cannot use that. That is really a pity, but if you have that, use that color instead. It's much better than the Untitled Sunset. So basically we just paint here the shoulder pads in yellow. Because this here is supposed to be a blood claw, and blood claws have the color scheme on the shoulder pad in yellow and red. Wolfguard, for example, has white and black, and Grey Hunters red and black, and like I mentioned before, the blood claws have yellow and red. So the second shoulder pad is supposed to mark the Grand Company, and most of the people will use the Ragnar Blackmane's company, so that shoulder pad is also then yellow with a black wolf. But I will not do that. I will make him a member of my bad company with my white skull. So if you paint over here the edges, that's not so big of a deal. After you have painted the main areas, you can always fix that later, or when you are quick enough, you can wash your brush and try to remove the paint while it is wet, for example, like here. I've got most of it away, but not all. Well, nevertheless, never mind. So, also I will base coat now the sword with that, because I want to have the nice heathered stripes in yellow and black on there. And for that we need a yellow undercoat. Okie dokie. And now it is not covering 100%, but that's okay. Leave it to dry and give it a thin second coat. Like here, for example, I will quickly go over a second time, and you see the overall coverage increases immensely with a second coat. It's always better to have 2 thin coats than 1 too thick coat. Okie dokie. I will leave that to dry now and be right back. It is time for some red. Corn red, to be exact. And we will start to paint now our pattern here on the shoulder pad. I think 2 little triangles would be nice. So we start with a dot here and a dot there, approximately the same height, and from there we will now paint our triangles. So going down to there, and then we simply fill it in, just like that. Same on the other side. Don't worry over because of the edge here on the shoulder pad. We will repaint that, and that's not kind of a big deal. So we were pushing the pointy edge of the triangle a little bit. Of course, you need a good tip on your brush for that. And there we go. 2 little nice spikes. And also here the crystal on the helmet we can paint with that color now. And the fly is bugging me here a little bit. So same for the eyes. A little bit too much paint on the brush, then going in like that, painting the back corner of the eye. Don't go too far to the front from this angle, because you would probably hit here the front part of the of the helmet, and that you don't want. So now you need a brighter red. For example, I know we have it here, Evil Sun Scarlet. With that we will now quickly highlight the triangle. Okay. So just like that. And that. And with the same color we will now paint the front part of the eye from the other direction. Like that. See, dark in the back and now bright in the front. And the crystal we will paint now here, this side bright and the opposite side like that. Okay. Now I'll wash the brush and we use Trolls Layer Orange for the eye. Just a tiny amount. So the very front gets a dot. Same on the other side. Okay. And for the crystal we will go also here for the front, a little orange dot. Just like that. Okie dokie. With the red here, with the corn red, with a little bit of water, I will also paint here the casing of the bolt gun, or rather bolt pistol. Be careful not to hit the silver parts. The more you go towards the end of painting the miniature, the more careful you should be while painting, and the less things you have to correct in the end. Normally when you start to paint, you have to paint everything, and most of the time the areas that you haven't painted yet are free to mess up. Yeah. There we go. And also with the Evil Sun Scarlet, I will make now a 50-50 mix with the corn red. And highlight here the bolt pistol casing with that. And ta-da! That's now nice. Now we take pure Evil Sun Scarlet for the upper parts. Just like that. Okie dokie. So now we will paint quickly here the wolf tail. Let's see, we will start with Rhinox hide. Give it a good coat. that. And while that is still wet, I will use Baneblade Brown. So, starting at the tip and working upwards. Again, a little bit more. Making a little bit of a wet blending here. Okay, there we go. See? Nice color transition. So now we will finish up the yellow parts with some Flesh Kids yellow. So watering down that a little. Sorry. And there we go, we have a nice yellow sword. Same for the shoulder pad. And the other one, of course. And when you hear snoring sounds in the background, that is my cat sleeping nearby. So, there we go. And voila, the Space Wolf is done. Last things to do now is, fixing up here this little arrows I have left here and there, for example, there at the backpack, or here the edges of the shoulder pad. Sorry, I almost forgot the sword. We wanted to have hazard stripes, don't we? So, we will quickly grab our black. Take some on the palette, a little bit of water. And then we will start at one side. Like that. Make the first line, then appropriately here the second line, and here is the third line, just like that. And then we will take this to the other side, like that. See? And from here we can then also make our stripes in that direction. So, and of course here should be another one. Going over here. and ending up somewhere here. And ta-da! We have a nice heathered stripe on the sword. So I will finish up the miniature now, making the base like usual with white glue, sand, wash, dry brush, a little bit of flock like usual. Finish up the arrows and be right back for the finished model. Okie dokie, here we have now the finished product with the complete base, and all the arrows are fixed. And I hope you liked this tutorial. And you are now ready to paint your pack of wolves and space wolves and engage your enemy in brutal close combat. Or in case of Longfangs, you will shoot him to hell. Until then, you're Alexandra. See you.